Breaking news today. Putin meets with Andrei Troshev, a former commander of the Wagner. The Kremlin claims that Vladimir Putin met with a former top commander of the Wagner mercenary group who is now employed by the Russian Ministry of Defense. Former Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin's aide Andrei Troshev died in a plane crash in August. His passing occurred 2 months after the brief Wagner invasion of Moscow. According to the Kremlin, Mr. Troshev was asked to lead Ukrainian volunteer fighting units by President Putin. As the president told Mr. Troshev, volunteer units that can perform various combat tasks, especially, of course, in the zone of a special military operation, he was referring to Ukraine. You know about the issues that need to be resolved in advance so that the combat work goes in the best and most successful way, Mr. Putin added. According to RIA news agency, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that Mr. Troshev now works in the defense ministry. Putin wants to regain control after the June mutiny led by Wagner, hence the timing of the meeting. Prigozhin launched an insurrection and advanced on the southern city of Rostov and then on to Moscow in a span of 24 hours, before retreating. It posed Mr. Putin's authority with its gravest test in 20 years. Workers for Wagner and other Russian private military contractors were required to swear allegiance to the Russian state last month after a call from the president. London-based think tank Royal United Services Institute's Natia Seskaria told the BBC that Putin is trying to demonstrate, he is in charge of the situation and he controls Prigozhin's inner circle, by publicly praising Prigozhin and holding a meeting with him. She argued that the MOD is now in full control of the alleged special military operation in Ukraine now that the Kremlin spokesperson has confirmed that Troshev works for the Russian Ministry of Defense. It will still be relying on Wagner resources with greater caution, in the Kremlin, she said. There were flight recorders at the Wagner crash site. What Russians did after the Prigozhin crash? With Prigozhin apparently dead, where does that leave Wagner? Wagner's boss Prigozhin, who has a history of reckless behavior. Mr. Troshev's alias is the one with grey hair, or Sedoy. He is highly regarded for his service during Russia's conflicts in Afghanistan and Chechnya. For his service as Wagner commander in Syria in 2015 and 2016, he was honored with the Hero of Russia Award. On August 23, Prigozhin and 9 others were killed in a crash outside of Moscow. Many people felt that the Wagner boss was dead man walking after the mutiny failed. The Kremlin has rejected accusations of complicity. As the conflict in Ukraine drags on, Moscow announced on Thursday that it would be increasing its defense budget by 68%. In 2024, the military budget is projected to reach 10.8 trillion rubles, $90 billion, or 6% of GDP. On Friday, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Russian prisoners who died in Ukraine had atoned for their sins. The Wagner mercenary group and the Ukrainian army have heavily recruited inmates from Russian prisons to bolster their ranks for the ongoing conflict in the country of Ukraine. Putin said during a televised meeting, "They are dead," referring to prisoners who had perished in Ukraine. "It's okay to make mistakes, everyone has." Putin told servicemen who fought near Urozhaini in southern Ukraine that their sacrifice for the motherland was fully redeeming. Putin observed a minute of silence for the prisoners killed in battle after a brief conversation with the soldiers. Russian President Vladimir Putin hailed the Ukrainian resistance fighters who fought near Urozhaini as an emblematic example of courage and heroism. In Bakhmut, a flashpoint city in eastern Ukraine, rumor has it that prisoners have been used as cannon fodder. Some prisoners were allegedly coerced or threatened into joining the Ukrainian military, according to international experts. Rehabilitation and reintegration of traumatized ex-soldiers is seen as a major challenge for Russia by many experts and Kremlin critics. Former inmates who have returned from the front may have relapsed into criminal behavior. By honoring the Soviet victory in World War II, Russian authorities continue a long-standing tradition of praising patriotism and a culture of self-sacrifice.